Okay, that was the DOM IX10KG. I did not talk through that at all because I was going for time there, but yeah, pretty fun lock. It's got, let's see, 10 pins, 5 on each side. Got an interactive on the right. This guy is the last pin, pin 5 on the right side. It's also got several passive pins, key control pins on the side, left side, and the bottom. So this dimple right there, it almost looks like it's part of the right bitting. It is actually a control pin, a passive pin. You'll see it when I pull it out. See, I'll show that the key works here. Cool. So yeah, the way I picked that was I started on the right side where it was binding, and I hit everything once, fell into a fairly deep falset, then switched over to the left side, which the left side is a lot of very high lift pins. So I really only have to very lightly touch everything after one, just kind of touch one and then kind of give a jiggle on the other ones. And at that point, something on the right usually is hung up, like just barely underset. So I drop the tension way down and I just go hard. It's pretty much impossible to overset it at that point. So I just throw pins around until I get a little bit deeper in the falset. And then when my line lines up, I know it's time for me to push on the interactive. So yeah, that was that guy. This is a cool, it's a Japanese format. I think a lot of the pictures on LPU belts are, it's DOM, it's a German company, so like Euros and things like that. So kind of cool to see it in Japanese. This guy has a whole bunch of interesting stuff going on the inside that doesn't necessarily impact picking. Let me start getting this open. So the only downside about this Japanese format is it isn't a kick holder, so I have had to gut this by hand, and that discouraged me from doing a whole lot of progressive pinning. See that interactive sticking down there in the back. Pretty good shot of it. Let up. Angle there. Then the shark fin key pins. Okay. I'm going to shim this. I don't necessarily need to, but I've had some close calls getting this lock, so better safe than sorry. Okay. Oops. Okay. So as I pull this out, some stuff's probably going to drop out of the bottom. Almost certainly, I expect to see the bearing from the bottom of the plug, drill bearing to drill bearing fall out. It's already, there it is on the tray right there. It's in the bottom. And then there's also a passive pin on the bottom that's probably going to fall out here as I pull this plug out. There it is. Let's see if it fall out there. Okay. So let's see here on the side, this is the key control. So when I'll show you the inside of this, set this in frame. I'll show you the inside. There's grooves where these passive pins ride. So if there's matching holes in the key, they can get pushed in and it turns, but it doesn't affect picking because without a key in there, it'll just always slide in. And then this bottom passive pin fit in those slots there. Set these down here along the bearing from the bottom. Okay, and then this little plastic bit, I think just lets you turn the key all the way around. Okay, let me dump these left passive pins. Nice, they both landed on the tray. Is the 5th position, 6th position, and the 4th. Okay. See these key pins here. Pretty cool arrangement. The number 2 pins on each side, I think those are steel cores, so anti-drill. And then this last one, the circle one, it's a little bit offset. That is the interactive. So 5 and 5, the 5th one on the right side being that interactive, and that angle and the location of it is what enables it to hit the center of the key there. So this key out. Get these key pins out. This is left one. Oh. These days I'm just going to dump it out. Good enough. Alright, I can use the key to give me a hand here. Okay, we'll start with left 3. This one is a torpedo. And you can see that shark fin profile on the bottom. Get a close-up of those. And I'll do right 2 here. The rest of these, there's 2 torpedoes in this. The rest are all standards. And they enforce the angle of the shark's tooth, which is how the key works. That's enforced because of these like sort of teardrop shapes. 5, 5. Oh, that's 4. So the key pins can't rotate, and they can only go in one orientation. They do have like a front and a back, but they're the same for left and right. They're interchangeable key pins for both stacks. 5. F2. Come on. I can get, there's left 1. Left 2. Alright. Right one. Right three just popped out. Four. One of these days I'll be good at this, and right five is that interactive. So let me try change the focus here. Shot. Okay, so see the shark's fin at the bottom of the key pins. Like I said, 2 torpedoes, overset traps on 3 and 4 on the left side, and then this interactive element is kind of like a T-pin. Really not a whole lot of security features on the key pins themselves. 3 and 4 had overset traps. They were low lifts, but I didn't really have that much issue getting around them. The nature of the shark's teeth, it was weird to get used to, but you can kind of pick on the side of the fin and lift up, so you can kind of pick from the middle, and you don't have to go directly under. So that and the fact that they didn't bind until very late made it pretty easy to avoid oversets there. Okay, and then yeah, that's the plug. Passive on the left, passive on the bottom, um, all the stuff on the top. Okay, now let me, for the fun part, I'm going to try and get these drivers out. Okay. It's another thing I wasn't too fond of with getting this lock. Sometimes with HPCs you can kind of like shim one side and then just gut the other. With this, the 2 stacks next to each other, you really have to kind of do the whole lock, whether you like it or not. That is the frontmost pin, which is left 1. These are cupped drivers, and they're all standard. The only one that's weird is the interactive driver, because it has to kind of go around a corner. Okay. Right 1. Got the camera here as I work through them. Okay. 2 here. And these are not very balanced stacks. It seems like most all of the drivers are the same. They might actually all be the same. I have a hard time telling. I didn't actually get out calipers or anything, but they sure look like all the standard drivers are the same length. Interesting, given this Japanese format and the fact that they had cup drivers. I think they would be more concerned about the small Bible space they had, but I guess they made it work. left 3. Right 3. Two more. I'm going to switch over to the back. Well, 2 more each side, so 4 total. So the first one that's going to come out is the interactive, so that's going to be right 5. This is the one that I said is a different shaped driver. Um, and left 5. Another standard driver, and just a pair more of standard drivers. So right 4. Left 4. Cool. And that is that. You can see inside here, maybe, let me grab a light. You can kind of see it in that shot. There are grooves for the passive pins in there. There's 3 total. 1 there, 1 there. Oh, is it just 2? No, there's 3. 1 there as well. See that one, that one, that one. So those are where the passive pins sit, and then if there's space in the key to ride up as it turns, it'll lift up into space that it has in the plug. If you insert the wrong key, even with the correct bitting, it doesn't have the right passive pin orientation, then the lock won't open. Okay, cool. Well, let me give a close-up here of the whole lock. I won't worry too much about getting the key in there. There you have it. DOM IX 10 kg. Okay. So before I wrap this, let me just talk real quick about my tools and any advice I have on picking it. So I guess first thing, I tensioned with just a regular like wiper style tensioner. This is like the Moki one. I think it's the smallest. So I tensioned on this side, so the side opposite the plastic bit. So there's actually a key pin right behind this, but I could see it. This is the frontmost key pin. This gave me tons of space. So really for the right stack, I was up against the right side of the lock, and for the left stack, I was in the middle. I tensioned clockwise, and I also lifted clockwise. I don't know. I didn't really have that much of an issue with it. This is a multi-pick. It's either a 5 or a 6, whichever one goes this way. Getting under the shark's fin key pins was the first challenge, really. So I had to get used to that. I think, especially when things are binding, it helped to kind of go around, or you can lift on the side until it's high enough that you can get under the actual bottom of the key pin. And then in terms of getting the open, so this lock has a tendency, I think it has to do maybe with some of the bidding, which is a lot of lows and then a couple of highs. Um, I would get to a state where I had a fairly deep false set, and then it wasn't getting any deeper, wasn't getting deep enough for me to set the interactive. And what I did at that point was I reduced the tension a ton, and then I just kind of like poked around. It was pretty much impossible to overset at that point, so I just was aggressive and just kind of flung pins around until I did get a slightly deeper false set, and then I used that line that I put on the core to tell when I was deep enough for the interactive to bind. And then when the interactive was binding, all I had to do was get a click out of it, and then it would open. Cool. Well, that does it. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.